Good evening and welcome to Focus. Tonight we're going to have some fun with some beachy looking furniture and repurposed items that just become beautiful pieces of art in your home via the creativity of Jean Roberts. Jean, thanks for being on the show.
Glad to be here.
Now you do furniture, you do plaques, but your main thing is, I call it repurposing. What's the word you use?
Upcycling.
Oh, yes.
Repurposing. yeah. It's all taking something, and I call it painting it apart. So you paint it apart.
Right.
I have found old pieces of furniture and actually worked with my husband to turn them into usable pieces of furniture, something that you might discard. Lately, I've been doing a lot of bench work, and we have one of them here on the set. This actually is a repurposed, I think it's a double bed, and my husband built the front part, and it's one of my
a double bed headboard, you mean?
It's a headboard, yes.
Okay.
I'm sorry, yes. And we took something that was discarded at one time, and we just loved the shape of it, so we went ahead and turned it into something that's useful. It's called a beach bench. I do lots of beach benches. And this is just one example that shows some scenery and detail. I actually use real seashells. I'll set them up on the bench where I want them, and I'll actually literally trace them and copy them from life.
Right. But you get your shadows on there so well. That's what really makes it look 3D.
Yeah, and this one was particularly challenging. The other benches that I've done are middle of the day, so I do some shadows. This one I had to cast the shadows in the right direction, and then I had to do reflected colors. It was a little bit more complicated with the sunset, but it was a fun challenge. I enjoyed it.
Very nice. And what do they call that? Shabby chic or?
Yeah, the shabby chic.
Or shabby chic, however you pronounce it.
And it's funny because my husband, he goes through all this trouble to paint it white, and then I hit it with the coarse sandpaper and he gets all grumbly with me, but it cracks me up too.
Yeah, well, it kind of completes the look.
Yes, it's very easy to live with. You don't have to worry about the white paint getting scratched. It just makes it very livable and very comfortable.
Yes, very nice, very nice. And now Jean's brought lots of images because all her furniture, of course, is too large to bring into the studio here. So can we bring up some more images?
This is a photograph from one of my favorite spots in the Abacos in the Bahamas. I actually used a photograph from this exact location to repurpose and upcycle an antique wardrobe.
Which will probably come up next here. Can we see the next?
Yeah, this is actually an antique wardrobe that I found alongside of the road. The inside was absolutely beautiful. It's mahogany in the inside. It has a hanging space on the one side, drawers on the other, and it was already painted white, so it's like a blank canvas. So I threw it in the back of the truck and brought it home, and I said, I just love this photograph. I'm going to put this photo on. So what you see in the picture is a sketch using just acrylic paint. I sketched on from the photograph that's taped. I made a copy, taped it onto there, so I used it as a guide, and I wrapped that photograph on 3 sides of that cabinet.
Right. And here it is,
and there's
finished.
The finished product. That is my business card. I use that image on my business card, and I get a kick out of explaining to people because they look at it and they go, oh, that's such a pretty place. I go, well, it's actually a hand-painted antique wardrobe. And
right.
They go, oh, then they get it. So it is kind of a neat conversation starter. But this cabinet actually was purchased by Jenny Pruitt, and it is on display at Juice and Java coffee shop in Cocoa
Very
Beach.
Nice.
So if you want to see it in person, go grab some coffee and a nice cupcake from Jenny's shop, and
right.
You can see it there.
Now that's painting in pretty large scale. Does it take you weeks of daily work on that?
Not really, because I work in acrylics, and it dries fairly fast.
Right.
Yeah.
So you can get a lot done just in
right.
one work time, whether you work 5 hours or 8 hours, you can get a lot done.
Exactly. Yeah, you block in the basic colors. You block
right.
in the background colors, and then you add the detail and work your way forward.
Right.
And I've been painting since I was 13 years old, so it doesn't take me too long.
Right, yeah, you said you've been painting a long time. You said you studied with a local artist?
Yes, Carol Honkinen. She trained me in oil paintings back when I was 13. And she became allergic to the pigments in the paint, so she had to stop, and she asked if I'd take over her classes. This was back when I was 19 years old.
Yeah, that's great, though.
So I ran my own studio for about 9 years at Freedom 7, and I taught kids classes and adult workshops and classes, and that's when I started with the hand-painted furniture.
Right, right.
It was a long time ago.
Yeah, wonderful, wonderful. Can we see some more? Yeah.
This is another photograph from the Abacos. It's an island called Great Guanakee. And this is actually this is like one of their most famous photograph opportunities. It's from a place called Grabbers. If you've ever been over there, everybody has...
With the hammock strung between the palm trees.
Yeah. And I have that painted on another cabinet, because that is one of the more popular, one of my favorite spots.
Right.
And there's the cabinet, and this was a garage sale find, and we painted it white, and then when I did the image, when I finished it, I did it in a high gloss, shiny finish to make it look like they were French doors with glass panels, so you could open up those doors and walk out onto the beach into your own private hammock.
But the cabinet already had that shape at the top,
right?
Oh,
yeah, those are the beveled edges.
Right, the beveled edges, and you just kind of went with the natural
Yeah.
shape of the cabinet and added your art.
Yeah,
Very
each
nice.
piece is different. You know, each piece lends itself to something. So it is a lot of fun. To me, it's, you know, I did do a lot of canvas work with the oils, and the furniture just brings it all to a whole other dimension. It's functional art.
Right.
This is another one of my beach benches. This actually was ordered through my Etsy store. It's a custom order. I'm shipping it off to Oregon here soon. It's taking up a lot of space in my living room right now. But that's the other example. That was the first beach bench design that I came up with. It was a middle of the day with the laughing gulls, very typical Cocoa Beach. It has the Cocoa Beach seashells on the seats. On my website, I actually have a video that shows me painting step by step. It shows the stages of the original beach bench, and it's the exact same design. She wanted that exact design reproduced on another bench.
I see.
So luckily I found a headboard and footboard, and my husband and I created this bench. When you have the footboard also, you can cut it in half and actually create the arms of the bench. The one here in the studio does not have arms.
Right, okay.
And we have 3 more, well, including this one. There's 2 other twins at home that are just waiting for another Bahamian sunset or something.
Right, right.
Haven't quite decided what we're going to put on them.
So you spend a lot of time in the Bahamas?
I've gone over several times. We don't spend a lot of time over there.
Right.
We're building our life here now. Well, I grew up in Cocoa Beach, but
right.
Yeah, it is fun to go visit, but it's always really nice to come home.
Yeah, it is, isn't it?
Yes.
With all the modern
It's
amenities.
a tiny little island, so it's a change. But it's a nice break too.
Okay.
This actually is my little dog Buckeye, and that is the sister bench to the original one that I painted. It's the opposite view. So if you're standing on the beach, one way you're looking at the ocean, you turn around the other way, you're looking at a beach house. And I got those flip-flops that are on the bench. I actually took my flip-flops off and painted the flip-flops on there, so they look like you could grab them.
Yeah, I thought maybe they were glued on there or something.
Yeah, that was a fun project too. And Buckeye, he's my assistant. He's always there.
Yeah, I bet. That's how my cat is too when I'm busy. Okay, so let's take a look at some plaques then.
Sure. One of the fun things that I enjoy, my husband is a carpenter, and he works on construction sites sometimes. So he'll bring home reclaimed lumber that would otherwise end up in the landfill. And sometimes when they do demo, I get some really nice old pieces. And I have fun doing the aged paint look. I've got a couple examples, you know, of different colors, what you can get. This one in particular.
And you do that just with a dry brush, paint and a dry brush, and just kind of
and actually to get this white, you use a block and you dab it into the paint, and then you scrape it.
And with a wood block, so you've got wood on wood.
It's a lot of fun. Okay. It's a lot of, I tell you, Pinterest, if you start watching Pinterest or going to Pinterest, you get addicted to all the really cool ideas you can find there. One of the things that I do with my plaques, you know, when I do a nice background like this, because these are fun tiki bar patio plaques, you know, beach house plaques. Right. I will do paintings on paper. And this is actually an original painting that I did, and I make a copy. It's a hard stock, and I make a copy on hard stock paper. So I have the image cut out and the hard stock, and then what I can do is I take this image here, and I trace them, and then I use the colors as a guide. So I can make as many of these crab images on the plaques as I want, and each one is hand painted. Right. You know, this looks like a conch on the beach. It's got the white. Or if I want to do a little group of the laughing gulls, I can do that. And then, like this aqua one, this would be a good one for the sea turtle. Right. So it's kind of fun to paint it, and then when you're happy with it, use the copy machine. That's always nice. But he would be nice on this. And then I have the triggerfish also. He would be good also. And then you said too that you can also add lettering if, you know, if somebody wants it personalized or yeah, like beach house, surf's up. Right. It's 5 o'clock somewhere. All those fun tiki bar signs. No shoes allowed. Free beer tomorrow. All the classics. You're right. Right. But it's just kind of fun, you know, with the local shops. It's kind of nice to be able to provide something for the local shops that, you know, when people come into town, they have something that's painted by someone that is from here. I have a really fun technique. When the wood is not really old, but it is scrap lumber from the construction site, what I do to make it look like it's driftwood or antique wood, I use apple cider vinegar and steel wool and put it on there. And depending on the type of wood, some turn really dark and some stay really light like driftwood. One of the things that we had talked about earlier were the funny saying plaques. Sun lovin'. And you do all this with hand lettering? Yeah, they're all hand lettered. And one of the things that I've learned over time is it is very important, the tools that you have, and having a really nice paintbrush is key. These are some of the older ones that I did. They are more rustic looking, but they're still a lot of fun. The hand-painted seashells you see on the welcome sign, those are seashells just like how I do on the bench seats. I traced them, copied them on, add the shadow and highlight, which is the trompe l'oeil, the fool the eye. Right. To make it look like it does have the seashells on top of it. It really does from in person, you know, the actual physical thing does look like it's got seashells on it. And I started using paint markers also to add more detail and highlight in that to the lettering. The highlight and shadow is just so important. But I find that each group of plaques that I do, they all look a little bit different. So it's kind of like a little series 1, series 2. I got the blue series. Right. Well, they all have their individuality. Yeah, yeah. It's turned out to be an awful lot of fun. Yeah, good. This part of the show, she's going to show us how she makes all her different signs and things to go around the home. And you can make keepsake signs, you said, right? Yeah, when you travel, there's always stuff that ends up in the bottom of your bag, in your pockets. And I don't know, I'm sure everybody's like me. You're always picking up stuff, or you might have a wine label if you like drinking wine or something. And you have these little bits and pieces that end up in the bottoms of your purses and pockets and that. And I figured out a way to make a nice little display, kind of like a keepsake plaque, using those items. And I have here on the table some seashells that I collected the last time I was over in the Bahamas. And what I came up with was actually a display making it look like a sandy beach, specifically for a beach vacation plaque. I went ahead and I put together, I do classes and help people create their own keepsake plaque. And actually I have an online course, so next time you go out of town, your homework is pick up some fun, interesting little seashells, bottle caps, anything that reminds you of your trip.
You even got some Bahamian money here.
I got some coins. Actually, this seashell is on this bench. There's a couple of them actually that are painted on this bench. But that's what you do with all the fun little tidbits and keepsake little pieces that you have in the bottom of your suitcase and that. When you get home, you want to pick out a piece of wood. Now, this is one of my antique pieces of wood. And one of the secrets that I do, and this is for the beach vacation plaque, is I use this. It's a sanded adhesive and grout in one. And you can get this at any hardware store. I use the alabaster color. And you scrape it on there, and you want to kind of make it thick enough because what you want to do is write in the sand.
Right, here
with a paintbrush. So you see here I've embedded seashells. And I've written, you can write anything you want on these. These are so much fun because you can write the name of the beach. You can write, or you don't have to.
Well, it works as an adhesive.
For your keepsakes.
Also as almost like a texture that you can move around.
Right. And in this case, we're making it look like it's real sand. This is where you would adhere copies of photographs, brochures, stuff like that, wine labels, beer labels, and that type of thing. And then what I use for that is the Mod Podge. So this is like an unfinished one. This one, I haven't gone in with the acrylic yet.
Now, where do you use the Mod Podge? I've never heard of that before.
The Mod Podge I use to adhere any kind of paper label or images that you want to do in the background.
Okay, so it's just a matte finish water-based sealer.
Oh, yeah. I used to use this when I was a kid. My mom was a crafter. And when I saw that they still had this, now I'm really excited because they actually have an outdoor formula for exterior applications. So I'm going to start doing some fun Mod Podge stuff for outside in the tiki bar. So I'm excited about that. But yeah, this, you can leave it open for the wine labels and that type of imagery, or you can hand paint and that's what I would be teaching in the classes too, is I teach basic painting technique. So you can do whatever kind of decorative shoreline or sailboats or whatever you want in the background.
Now, you said you teach in Satellite Beach, but where?
I have a friend artist, Karen McDonald, who has Art and Soul Studio in Satellite Beach. It's right next to the Beef O'Brady's on South Patrick.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
And so she and I, thank goodness we found each other because she's a dear. But we're working together, and she offers really nice classes too. So. But if you want any information on any of the courses, you can go to my website and contact me there. But we're doing keepsake plaques. I'm actually doing hand-painted clothing workshops. Anything that'll hold paint, I'll paint it.
You're right.
Pretty much. Yeah. I used to paint bathing suits back when I was first graduated high school.
Yeah.
For Faye Francis bikinis. Custom bathing suits with the hand-painted everything.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah, that was
great.
Neat. And then I love these paint markers too, and I actually went and I think I bought one of every color they had. I've got them in my bag over there. But these are great for doing little details on the plaques.
Right.
Like if I was to do.
And they're actually paint markers, so you have to put them over the white area.
Yeah. See?
Right.
And then just adding that little pop of color. But it's
permanent ink?
It's, you know what, I don't even know what kind of paint it is. But just to be able to add that little accent to the letters.
Yeah.
And then what I could do too, since I have the brown, and highlight and shadow is like the most important thing for you to learn anytime you're doing any kind of art project. See here, I've got the brown, so I can do the shadow here with this brown.
Right.
Or I could use the black Sharpie if I really, really wanted to make it stand out. I could use the black Sharpie too. But that just kind of gives you an idea. That's one of the things that I teach in my classes is light source and where the shadow falls, and that's like on the bench, how important that was to get the shadows all going in the same direction, the same intensity, the same length. And if you do a lot of large images, you want to get bottles of the acrylic so that you can, I was so pleased to find out how affordable these were. So if you're doing any kind of craft projects or anything like that, these big bottles at any of the big box stores you can get, it's really nice because then you feel like you can do a lot of painting.
Right,
not worry about
right.
it, because it can get expensive. Art supplies can get very expensive.
Yeah, it can, definitely.
Yeah.
But do you ever water those down at all? You always use them full strength?
A little bit. These are, that's the other nice thing too, is these are already liquidy. So pretty much I work straight.
Right, because some of them can be pretty thick.
Yes.
And they're hard
out
to
of the
move.
tube,
Right.
yeah, you want to break them down and add mediums. Some of these, actually, these are formulated for exterior also. Some of the gloss ones are good for outside. I usually put a sealer on my pieces just to give them a little extra protection, just a polyacrylic, a water-based varnish. And that's what I use on the furniture also, is the water-based stuff. I don't like working with the solvents as much.
Right, yeah.
Yeah.
I don't like the smell of them either, but the water base does a wonderful job of locking everything in and coating it. And
yeah, it protects it. And then after I sand it and beat it up, it doesn't really matter. You can live on that piece. You don't have to worry about scratching it or anything.
So you don't treat that wood, well, it's already, you just, put some like primer or something on it? And
Yeah, the basic frame, my husband, it's nice, he comes in handy for priming and painting for me, and like I said, he cringes every time I break out that coarse sandpaper and go to town on it, but yeah, it just makes it just that much more beachy, casual, livable. Throw it in the back of the pickup truck, take it where you need to. Like bringing it down, it was like, don't worry about scratching it. You really can't hurt this piece of furniture. And it is built to last. It's nice and sturdy.
So do you go out driving around on garbage day, or do you hit all the resale shops?
I haven't had to do that yet. I've been pretty lucky.
How do you find your pieces?
Well, this particular one I found in a thrift store in Merritt Island. And we found several items.
So you do visit the thrift stores and the resale shops.
Yeah, if I need something, I'll go look. And it's funny, stuff just kind of comes to you too, like the photograph of the headboard set that I have.
Right.
That was down the road a few doors at my neighbor's house. And it was like the garbage truck hadn't gotten there yet. I was so excited. So I pulled it up into his yard, and I went and I got the car. And I made it there just in time because he was putting it out by the road. I was like, no, Steve, that's mine, please.
Well, and here's one of the most important plaques.
Oh, that.
Jean's Coastal Art.
Yeah, what I usually.
So if you like Jean's work and would like to order something, check out her website.
Yeah, and there it is.
There it is. That's all for tonight, and we will see you next week with more Focus.